back end stretch of the season as far as guys available and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing rotating early on has really helped those guys. I mean, you got guys who their history has, they haven't finished the year like Luke and Blaze and some of those guys. I mean, those guys are still fresh running around. So I think that's played a huge, it's a huge part in being able to have quality reps at the end of the year. So.
Was Rule mentioned the other day, the guys, when they turn on the tape Sunday, they could see the plays where you could have been had, where you weren't. Has this group been good all along? Have you noticed early on they're good about being honest about a performance, no matter what the stats say?
Yeah, I mean, the young men have done everything asked of them, and so when you point out things which even as a coach, you're always learning as well. It's the standard of play versus the result, and so many times everybody gets fixated on the results, and it's believe me, it's great to win and all that stuff. But what happens is you neglect those things that'll get you beat, later on down the line or against better opponents. So we're always looking at the standard of play because I think that when that takes precedence over the results, you'll be happy with the results more than not, right? But the young men, they saw it and they said, yeah, they agreed with it, and so had a big emphasis today on the standard, meeting the standard versus don't worry about the results.
How were you with the high five?
The high five?
Yeah, go with Quentin going into the end zone.
That was the first teach tape. I was, again, even some of the young men didn't know that if they started high fiving and then that ref threw a flag, that the offense would have the ball 15 yards from the spot of where he threw it. So we got lucky, but you want to use those moments to continue to educate and teach so those guys know, and so that way when they get in that position again, they'll act differently. But it's fun to see them make plays. We just want to do it the right way.
When you look at the tape from Purdue, what things stood out to you, good and bad?
I thought the perimeter tackling was really good. I thought the DBs did a really nice job of setting edges and then making the ball run back inside and guys run into the ball. I thought that the DBs as well, they got a chance. Their eyes were on the ball. Those picks and all that stuff. Like you can see the guys were in really good spots, but they were all watching the ball, which allowed them to go make plays on the ball. And up front wise, I mean, you couldn't tell the quarterback was so mobile, but I thought the guys up front really did a nice job of making him nervous and running around and all that kind of stuff, getting him out of rhythm. Those kind of offenses, they need to operate in rhythm, and to get going, and they're really explosive. So the disruption up there, I know it might not have shown up in the stat line, but those guys did a really nice job, D-line and backers, of making sure that they weren't on time.
I know principals had, some good plays going forward right at the quarterback, but how gratifying was it to let him peel off and make that play in the flat on a back in space?
Yeah, I mean, when you go back and watch the film, so they saw pressure and they threw a couple slants early on, and so in that defense, I mean, everybody saw the tackle, right, which was a big time play because that's a skilled athlete in the open field. But what people didn't see was he took the slant away. He dropped. So in the first window, the quarterback looks to throw the slant, and he's sitting there in the window, which made him then check it down, which then made P. Will run out there and go tackle that athlete in open space. So again, as he continues to develop, he does things like that on the field, and you're like, well, that's why he's out there running around, as a true freshman. So it was
It's not like a 200, 300 level play, like a play that you maybe don't make your first game, but you're hoping they make by the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Those are the type of things that show up later on in the year. Again, going in with the process and making sure every day they're learning and continuing to learn. I think that's a great example of a play that maybe not would have been made early on in the season, not understanding, versus later on in the season. Like I said, he took a slant away from the quarterback and then tackle for a loss on a skilled athlete in the backfield. That stuff that's high level thinking now.
How typical has it been for you in your defense in this scheme to have guys at that position, at that jack position, who've been back and forth between defensive end and jack? It seems like Prince Will, Jamari, some of the Chief have played both of those positions interchangeably. And is that like in a example of the defense evolving, or you always wanted to look at it that way?
That's a total program deal, you know, in terms of the athletes that we have here and are able to recruit, the coaches coming together and trying to figure out how to put guys in the right positions, you know, constantly, like you said, evolving into putting the best players out there and figuring it out. That's something that you know, I don't know if we've done anywhere else in my history, you know. And again, you continue to be around really good coaches and develop yourself as well. You know what I mean? And see those things that wouldn't have happened before.
Do you see that as a product somewhat of the way that Coach Rule and you know, his way of looking at players is evident all over the field? I mean, there's players who you know, move positions on offense, you know, in the secondary. Is this just another example of that?
100%. 100%. It starts at the top, and him being able to be hands-on with guys like that, and then seeing, always consistently evaluating, and then the assistant coaches. I mean, T. Knight and Rob, you know, those guys always having thoughts and opinions on who should be playing where and their skill set and fitting in guys and rotating guys in. Again, that doesn't just happen. You know what I mean? T. Knight is cross-training his guys consistently, putting guys in different spots, making sure, you know, they all know. Same thing with Rob, you know, always messing around with the alignments and all that kind of stuff, and making sure guys are cross-training consistently, so that way, whether it's injury, whether it's performance, whether it's a specialized package, you know, we're able to develop something around those talents. And that, again, it's really cool when the head man is for it, and he's a big proponent of it, and then you got guys in the room who are consistently trying to push that envelope and see what we can do with different guys.
You talk about guys flying into the ball, rallying into the ball. How much of that is effort, and how much of it is play recognition that they're getting in those spots?
Yeah, it's everything. I mean, again, if you don't know what to do and you don't know how to do it, you're not going to play very fast, you know. And so that's a testament to the players learning what they're doing, and then the coaches not overloading them. You know what I mean? And that's myself included, like not giving them so much to think about that they're robots or they're stuck in mud. Like, you know, those guys go out there and make you right. And so whenever guys play fast, that's them. You know, that's 100% those guys, and you see them putting the time in their off time. And again, like we have family night, and then they go up and watch film after. They go up and see presentations and stuff. So that when they take tests in the morning, and they know the answers to it. Like, all those little things are contributing to them being on the grass and playing fast. So
Talking with and Soren too, what's been your level of involvement with special teams this season, and how have you seen some of your defensive players improve in that phase?
you know what, you look up, and most of the time it's the defensive guys on there. You know, so I know all the coaches have put in. I mean, again, it starts at the top, and where, hey, what guys can we be playing where, and then every assistant coach being in those meetings, and then taking a little pride in making sure that that's handled the right way. You know, and again, just even the PAT field goal block, you don't know how much emphasis is put on the PAT field goal block. You know, the block teams and getting those guys ready, and the expectation, like, hey, every week we plan on blocking one. And it was good that they did, and that guys were in the positions they were supposed to be in. And then, because when that happens, then they say, okay, I see. And again, it goes back to that validation, because once they know it can happen, they can do it, then they're always looking for the next time. So it's something that, you know, in November, when you're talking about being a contender for stuff, then we're going to need all three phases to be good.
There's been a lot of turnovers, and it just seems like over the last couple of weeks, your guys, when they get back onto the field, they don't let that weigh down on them. They got a ton of energy. They're excited to be out there. Where do you think that stems from?
I think that's just the standard around there. You know, that's an opportunity to play ball, and I think a lot of the times the process. You know, again, we talk about the process early on. It was kind of a deal where it's like, hey, what's going on, da da da, and then there's an education that comes to it. You know what I mean? That we got to do our part regardless. And I think it goes back to them believing that it doesn't matter where, it doesn't matter how. When it's our time to go play ball, we go play ball. You know, and it's kind of cool, because you don't feel that energy. You don't feel that, oh man, what are you doing? You feel that, hey, we get to go on the field and play, so let's go play. And that's a testament to the guys, buying into everything that's going on and the process and just understanding that, hey man, the game happens. You know what I mean? That's part of it. Let's go do our part. Period.
A couple items that stick out about this Michigan State offense.
Yeah, I mean they're more explosive than you think they are. I get again. This goes back to the results versus the standard. You watch I got a lot of respect for that running back. I remember at my last school there, he was a running back there, and he was a dynamic player. He's a really, really good player, runs hard, all that stuff. They got a really big offensive line. They got 2 tight ends that one of them is a really powerful blocker, and then the other one plays on the basketball team. I mean, give me a break. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, so he's athletic, he's hard to cover. They got some really skilled wide receivers, and I get that they're finding the answer at quarterback, but they're up against Iowa going into the fourth quarter. They're kicking Rutgers, but going into the fourth quarter. So we got to do our part. I mean, we're going to prepare to see their very best, but it comes down to us living up to our standard. You know what I mean? Making sure we know what we're doing, knowing how to do it, and then having, again, the right attitude about this game. Coach said something awesome. He's talking about being in this position for the first time, where November matters. You know what I mean? For these guys, November matters. So now, again, this is another learning experience for this group, right? So it'll be fun to watch. Hey guys.